are speaking face to face.
Yes.
And it's pretty great to have you. And thank you for agreeing to take out time, because I know how busy you are in
The pleasure is mine.
the amazing things you're doing. So to begin with, my first question, Dan, is about you. Tell us more about yourself, about your background, about your journey in sports.
Definitely. No, it's a pleasure to see you and speak to you properly, firstly. So my background is I started out studying sports marketing as an undergrad now I graduated there nearly 20 years ago in the UK. And my first professional experience was working for Adidas. So in the branding world, I knew actually from a very early age that I was very intrigued by the business of sport. As a sportsman, as a tennis player and a footballer, I was always, as every child, I guess, dreaming of playing one day. But then also, I remember being 15, 16 years old and thinking, I was curious about the brands. I was curious about the management of sport. So anyway, I worked for these big global brands for a few years, but I started my first business very early on in 2006. I found an opportunity with an old friend of mine to work with street soccer. He had an amazing way of fusing music and dance with football at street level to engage with kids, and I was totally inspired by that, and that's what entered me into this world. But no, back to your question, on a personal level, I'm like everyone in the world, a very ordinary English man, I guess. I've had the pleasure of traveling a lot, and I'm very passionate about that and discovering new cultures and people, and living life with purpose, I guess, is my mission.
That's amazing to know. And so, Dan, tell us about what you're currently doing. What's your current project you're working on?
So there's a few, just to confuse everyone further. But no, my main focus is the development of the sport now of freestyle football. So freestyle football, in case you haven't seen completely, is the art and now a sport of juggling and acrobatics with a football. So on an artistic level, it's a very individual thing. You could compare it maybe to rhythmic gymnastics in the Olympics, where it's a very artistic display with musicality and style and originality at the core. But what we did, I saw a niche in the world of sport back in 2009 to embrace this amazing street culture that I'd tapped into through my other work, and actually create a support structure for these street kids who had taught themselves to be amazing with the ball, and they were being picked up by big brands for TV commercials or to entertain at major sporting events, but they wanted more. And I was like, this could be a sport. The attraction that they got back then, way before social media was as big as it is now, was amazing. And then the live shows, they attract thousands of people within seconds of them beginning. So yeah, the call to action was, let's create a structure that can deliver education through this amazing sport, and it snowballed. So now we have the world governing body for the sport. We're working here in Valencia right now with Red Bull who sponsor our world championships for the event, for the sport, sorry. And we have 114 countries around the world all working together to promote this lifestyle.
I think this is terrific. The fact that so many brands and, countries have come together and participating, and also the fact what you're doing with kids, because, like we discussed, Dan, at one point, talking about gully cricket. You remember when we spoke
Correct.
about that? Yes. And then it's football, freestyling, and where people from the streets are giving them an opportunity. So if any particular story which, comes to your mind, maybe you helped a kid, changed his or her life, if you can share about that.
Wow. Again, as I said earlier, I guess this is the reason I do it, and it's really, I get goose pimples just thinking about some of the moments, and there's one side of this which I guess could be seen as quite selfish, which is my own experiences and the ability to travel and to connect with people all over the world. But as you alluded to, this is the most rewarding part, is when you can see real transformation. I think there's currently, let's use the now, because otherwise I'll talk for hours about too many people. But there's one young girl at the moment who's just turned 16 years old, from the UK, who she won our first ever online World Youth Championship. Just happened, and she's somebody who is, let's say, she struggles with learning, she struggles with traditional sport, she struggles with social engagement and interaction on a very extreme level, dare I say it. And she's really had a lot of social barriers in front of her. Amazing family around her, like really supportive family, but she's born in this generation where she sees on all the social media channels this kind of entitlement, I guess. People are, they're producing content and getting famous overnight without really having a talent, dare I say, and that she feels pressure from that, but also there's just the mental health elements that come with that, and then physical development as well. She's really gone through a tough time in the last 3 years, but she stumbled into freestyle like many, I guess, who played a bit of football first, so they were interested in the wider world of football, and then came to one of our events literally 3 years ago for the first time as a then 13-year-old girl. And literally, you've never seen the trends, and this was without anything that I did necessarily. We created the stage, but she just bonded. This was her community. She found herself immediately, and it was the first time her mum said that she was talking, like she wanted to put her opinion across. She wanted to train 8-9 hours every day with the community. She found herself immediately, and she just immersed herself as a total beginner. And then 3 years later became the first world youth champion in the sport, and now is beginning to build that self-confidence and much more. So yeah, Rebecca is her name, and one to look out for.
What an amazing journey she's had. And talking about that, it's amazing to know so many girls, women are participating in this. You don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to freestyling, we don't see a lot of women in the game, in the sport, not only just football, in so many other sports as well. So what's the women participation like? And are you doing anything extra to, to encourage them or raise awareness about them participating in freestyling footballs?
We definitely are, yes. So first of all, again, back to the roots. The opportunity, as I saw originally, was this could be a completely, what's the word I'm searching for? A completely neutral access sport. All you need is a ball. Anyone can start. Doesn't matter where you are, what your beliefs are, what challenges you have in life. All you need is a ball. And with that theory, it was always about then complete equality as well. So on the same stage, because it's non-contact sport, so men and women can play together on the stage, they can compete together. So from the start, first of all, we had the same prize money available to absolutely everyone, the same fees for doing performances, and much more. That being said, as you probably know, you've competed and been involved in sport yourself, I know, for many years. So the difference in participation levels is the major factor. So it's like, how do we, and this was realistically through 2 or 3 years ago, we sort of thought, how do we really push this now? Because the opportunity for women is, the artistic side of this, especially, and the musicality. The women, way surpass the men. Like their natural relationship to the music and the ball is amazing. So the way we've done that is we now have a separate ranking system just for the girls. We have women's only series of events around the world. The community organize special, meetups and training spaces so that they can feel more safe and more secure, and they can really help one another. And again, in countries like now Iran, I'll use Iran as an example, we have over 300 women there meeting every week in different training centers, training. And that's only happened in the last 12 months. Through COVID, they just got together and they were like, this is our chance. This is our chance to actually do something together and really be part of this community.
I think this is a success story right there. I mean, when you talk about women in Iran getting together, especially in a time where, everyone's trying to hide because of COVID, and thankfully things are improving now. And we see, And Iran, I mean, you don't normally, uh, maybe I can be wrong, but you don't hear much often about women from Iran or maybe the Arabic
For sure.
country. I mean, recently I just heard about, Kim Kardashian flying women footballers from
Yeah.
Afghanistan. So similarly, I'm glad that women from Iran are, they're convening together to play, and sports like absolutely unites everybody, and it's
Yeah.
pretty great to know that freestyling is offering them a chance to come together and maybe look at something more higher than themselves. So
For sure.
you mentioned, Dan, about Red Bull being involved about doing this tournament in Valencia.
Yeah.
So, do we have more brands coming in forward to, sponsor athletes or events or tournaments?
We do, not on the level that's allowing things to really grow at the moment, and that's something that we're working very hard on, is how to make the sport more translatable to a branded opportunity. With Red Bull, we were very fortunate from day one. We had a relationship. They were part of the, you could say, the foundation of the sport rules and the regulations and how the battles work. So they they had a first mover advantage basically in that respect. And as such, we've actually depended on them. You could also say over the years. So however, every major sporting event in the world, so every brand of every sponsor, of every major event have used.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I had a
Don't worry
phone call
about it.
coming.
Yes.
I'll start that again. Okay.
Yes.
So for the brands, we've had Red Bull from the very beginning. They were one of the first movers, and as such, we've depended on them a lot over the years. However, every single major sporting event, every sponsor of those events have used freestyle in various ways. So there's lots of ways that you can engage with the sport. Traditionally, it's around content creation. It's around entertainment, for sure, of VIPs or fan engagement at stadiums. So now our big mission is, how do we convert that into more long-standing relationships with a more meaningful relationship all year round? So lots to do, but lots of opportunity as well.
Also, I think, Dan, I mean, I'm thinking on the scale where, the existing clubs, I mean, football clubs, they can also have an activity like this integrated within the usual football games. I mean, we have breaks, we have timeouts during footballs, and something like this. If, for example, hypothetically, if Arsenal and Manchester United are having a game, and if in the break time they can have our freestylers, take over the stage, I think
Yep.
that would be something integration would, certainly help. I think I'm thinking about cross pollination, and this is how most of the things grow. We've seen clubs like, I was just reading today, Arsenal has launched a sports tech innovation platform where they're inviting more sports tech brands. Similarly, Manchester City recently announced that they were working together with other brands together. So I think freestyling is also something which can be integrated within the usual, your usual football games. So do you think it's something which football teams or organizations can perhaps think about?
They definitely, and they do, and they can do more as well. It's a two-edged sword, I guess. So on one side, what we are very passionate about for our sustainability and long term is differentiation. So we don't want to be associated too much with football, because we are our own sport. Like, just because you're good technically with freestyle doesn't mean you're automatically a good footballer. It can help, and it does help, but for our own personal growth as a sport and as a community, we're aiming for the Olympics and we can come back to that later, but we want to be a different sport. We want to be recognized as a creator's sport, basically. That being said, the relationship with football is there. It's obvious, a ball is involved. So of course there's lots of communication back and forth. Traditionally, it's used as the entertainment, as I mentioned, in the stadiums and with fans. However, then you could look at the greatest footballers in the world, you know, the Messis, the Ronaldos of this era, but Ronaldinho, Maradona, these players, they were born in the streets. They were only so good, and they credit this galore. We're fortunate to work a lot with Ronaldinho, especially, who, you know, who puts a real emphasis on his skills being born in the street. Like he this is his beach, as he calls it, right? He learns it naturally. It's a playtime, but because of that, the self-confidence, the touch, the body awareness, all the fundamentals for the game of football are dramatically enhanced, because his relationship with the ball is so much greater than others who just train strength, conditioning, and tactics. So there is a development potential. There's a fan engagement and entertainment potential. And as such, we work with Borussia Dortmund already on some pretty innovative plans. And yes, we have a few things in the pipeline with many other clubs. So we'll see what comes next.
Now let's talk about the journey of, you know, finally. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So let's get back to, how do you plan to get freestyling into the Olympics?
It's a big task, as I'm sure you know. Well, first and foremost, it's about the sport standing up in its own two legs. So we've got an amazing network. We've got a great structure for world rankings and events and education across the world. So that's the backbone, and we need to enhance that. So step one in the next 18 months is developing what is community groups in many countries and turning them into associations on a national level. We already have a number of sports ministries and authorities and national Olympic committees recognizing the sport. We were invited in 2019 to be a medal sport at the first ever African Beach Games, which was a great experience into that sector. But really, it comes down to now, professionalization of the administration of the sport, which is something that, you know, we can action today, and it takes some time. But then it's about being part of the authenticity of sport, and that's another great value I believe that we have here in Opportunity, is what sport used to always be about. Many people could argue is kind of lost now. You know, the about being the fastest, the strongest, the most mentally strongest as well. Very much, you know, the mind and body together, working together. All of these values are very intrinsic to freestyle. So we're going to focus on that, and we're going to present this to the Olympic world in the coming 2 years as an antidote, you could say, to how participation is dropping in traditional sport, and that young people need these kind of more accessible, shorter form, exciting, high energy content. And that's why, you know, we see BMX, skate, D-boying in the next one in Paris. All of these urban sports are coming to the forefront because of just an organic evolution of the fan and the youth participant.
Definitely, even breakdancing for that matter. I mean, you know, all
Exactly.
these have made it to the Olympics, and who would have thought that sports, they would be, you know, in the Olympics? But I think, yes,
Yep.
there's a great chance of freestyling featuring there. More about Dan, about freestyling. Do you think, like you mentioned about Rebecca, you know, battling so many social media notions where she thought she had to live up to them. So similarly, there are a lot of people, not just athletes, just everybody, I would say, you know, there is a certain sort of influence over us, what social media exercises over us. How important is it for freestylers also to focus on their mental health? And how much is your organization encouraging it?
It's, I think for everyone in the world, whether you're an athlete or not, it's arguably the most important part of your own health, because if you can't control the mind, you're never going to approach any opportunity with the right energy or expect anything other than failure. Almost that's the big fallout. So how we're approaching it is right now we're just embracing these sports. They're one of the main values, and this was quoted to me actually in, must have been 2011, 2012. So right at the beginning of our sporting journey, one of our athletes from Russia at the time, he came out of nowhere, and his English back then wasn't, fluent, let's say, but he articulated this so well. He basically just said freestyle is about 98% failure. So the sport, just in general terms, if you think about the success of just juggling a ball, keeping a ball, and I don't know if you've tried it, but just to balance the ball and then juggle it one or two times, you're going to drop it. Like it's impossible for a beginner. Even for footballers, they don't train this. So you're instantly adjusting, your body is adjusting, your mind is adjusting, you're experiencing failure, but you're also realizing how to correct it very quickly, because you can feel your body movements. And so yeah, just the training alone, the exercises of that, and we encourage that basically as much as possible. So we want the community to get together to train together, and the world champions are training with complete newbies on a regular basis, just because it's a wonderful community and they want to. So yeah, we want to create more moments like that for more of the community to share, and then just keep inviting more people to be part of it.
That's amazing. I think that's pretty cool, whatever we spoke about, Dan, today. I mean, there's a big chance. I mean, I also always encourage you to, maybe come down to India, meet the Indian Super League teams, and, maybe introduce freelance. I'm saying freelance because I've been seeing so much of freelancing. Oh my God, freestyle kicking, there's big scope here in India, if you ever want to.
100%.
Martin is ISL CEO. He's Scottish, but he's worked with Manchester United and many other English clubs. And now he's leading Indian Super League in India. So maybe you should get in touch with him.
Definitely. Well, and the community there is already amazing as well. But as you know, with the size of such a country, the distance to travel for the athletes, the opportunity to do that is a block, but it's not an issue. It's just a reality of the geography of the country. But yeah, the culture is so street influenced as well. As we said at the start, gully cricket. So that's a big inspiration for me as well. Looking at how that's how those pickup games happen. That's exactly what we would love to emulate, or at least inspire more communities to engulf with a football instead of a cricket ball.
Definitely. Dan, just let me close the recording and come back.
Sure.